All right, Draft Star fans, big interview here today. We've got Travis Boak now. Thanks for coming down, Travis. How have you been?
Yeah, good mate. Obviously back in Melbourne for a few days and then head back to Adelaide next week. So it's good to get back here and catch up with you guys at Draft Star.
And as you can probably imagine, mate, one of the big things that people wanted to know about when they heard you were coming in, obviously you do have that family ties down here in Melbourne. What was it that got the deal done at Port?
Yeah, look, I think it's just the group of players we've got, and I really think it's going to really take a big step over the next couple of years and get a bit of success, and I really want to be a part of that. And with a new coach and new fitness staff coming in, it's going to be a bright future for the club.
Yeah, obviously pretty exciting times, and you did just allude to that new coach. Have you heard much about him? Do you know much about it going in?
No, I haven't had too much to do with him. I haven't spoken to him yet, and obviously Gary Hocking-Butt has been pretty close with him, and he's spoken highly of him, and I've spoken to a few guys at Geelong, and they've said that he's one of the best coaches they've had, and so it's really good for the club and really exciting, and looking forward to meeting him.
And you've done relatively well in the trade period. You've got a bloke by the name of Angus Monfries coming in. Yep. What do you think that he's going to bring to the club?
Yeah, obviously it's great for him to come to the club, and I think his experience with us, and then I think he's played 150 games, and it's going to be great for him to come in the club, and hopefully he gets a bit more of a chance in the midfield, and he'll really help our midfield, and hopefully we can take that to another level. And I think just his experience and leadership around the club will be fantastic.
And you're a club best and fairest winner, mate. What goals do you set yourself? Obviously, you've got those personal awards next to your name. Do you have something that you give yourself KPIs on? Is there something that you strive to reach each year?
Look, more the team stuff that most guys will sit down and try to work on, but it's more just day-to-day stuff, sort of in pre-season, just trying to improve your fitness and strength, and throughout the year you just want to increase each game and get better each game, and at the end of the year then hopefully those individual awards and team awards will come. Now
obviously, mate, you grew up in Melbourne, and you have that obvious connection down here. Was it much of a difference going over to Adelaide? Is there a massive cultural difference, or is it relatively similar?
No, look, it is pretty similar. I grew up down in Geelong, and it's a pretty small town, and it's pretty similar to Adelaide. It's just a nice sort of cruisy town, and it wasn't a hell of a lot different. The people in Adelaide are really friendly, and the club was fantastic in helping us relocate, and they've been great to my family in the 6 years that I've been there, and really help you settle in, and just the people around the club just make you sort of want to stay there and just feel at home.
And what would you say to one of the questions that came in was how can we get people to convince that Adelaide is a great place for football? It seems to be something that obviously we're in Melbourne, so it's just mere speculation really about the culture and the need for football over there. Is it really strong over there?
I think it's huge. The people around Adelaide just love football. I mean, it's in the paper every day. It's on TV every day, even when we're not playing during the off season. It's all they sort of talk about, and it's really good. And I think Adelaide Oval is going to really help that as well. It's going to be fantastic moving into the city and playing our games in there. But the footy's strong in Adelaide. I think the SANFL was probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, comp in Australia, and that's great to see. And I think Adelaide showed this year how strong footy is in Adelaide, and finishing, I think it was third or fourth. Footy's really strong, and it's going to improve in the next few years, especially with Adelaide Oval.
Absolutely. And we had one of our young fellas, Joseph Macy. He tweeted in and he wanted to know what are some drills that you can do to get strong below your knees.
That's a good question. I think most footballers want to try and get strong below the knees. Obviously, the ball's on the ground a lot of the time, and I think some of the drills you do is just some ground balls with coaches, and you could start out with that, just basic, from the coach, roll the ball and pick it up, and then you gradually build it up with having a bit of pressure from either side and from behind and things like that, and that sort of relates into a game. So you can gradually build it up from just doing it yourself, and then getting pressure from teammates and things like that.
And you were saying the blokes in the midfield just off camera before that they're a bit bigger than you now, so do you find that you need to find different areas which you can expose your opposition, or do you have a little something that maybe you can't reveal on camera that gets you above the opposition?
No, definitely. I think all players have something that they think they're better than their opposition at, and try to use that to their advantage. Obviously, my height. Now I'm a lot smaller than most other midfielders, and I try and use my speed and my quickness, agility around stoppage and things like that as to my advantage. And I've been working on my strength and all that over the last probably 2 or 3 years. I came to the program at I think about 76 kilo, 73 kilo, and now I'm at about 85, 86. So gradually over time you build on that, and that's continued probably from one of my weaknesses into one of my strengths. So you try to use your strength and use it against other players.
So would you say that what was your number one strength when you first came into it? Was it that quickness and agility?
I think that was always, it had always been there, and was something that I tried to base my game around, and I still had that fitness base, and so I continued to improve on that. But it was basically the speed and the agility sort of stuff that I really try to base my game on, and continue to try and improve on that to use as sort of a weapon against opposition.
Now, what age did you get your start into the game of Aussie rules?
I started out at Auskick, like most kids in Australia, and I was probably about 5 or 6 years old when I started kicking the footy around there, and I really enjoyed that, and then probably didn't play my first game until I was about 10 years old, down in Torquay. And then it sort of went on from there.
And you were a standout even back then, were you, or did it take a while before you started to
I don't know about
straps?
standout. I really enjoyed it, and I probably was a bit more cricket than footy. I enjoyed cricket a lot more, and it wasn't until I was about 16 that I really started to go into footy. I had stress fractures in my back from playing cricket, and decided to give that up and really concentrate on footy. And then I was fortunate enough to go through the Geelong Falcons program, and then through there into the state side, and then fortunate enough to get drafted.
So do you think it was merely through that, probably the stress fractures in your back, that led you to make the decision, right, I'm going for football over cricket?
Yeah, it was probably a lot to do with that. I think at that stage I made my first state side, so it was probably a little bit to do with my stress fracture, and then the opportunity I got through playing for Vic Country, and that sort of just swayed my decision to play footy, and from there I really just sort of knuckled down and wanted to play AFL.
And you mentioned growing up in Torquay, mate. We've got a strong contingency of guys coming down there to do the draft star program. There seems to be a lot of probably passion there, and as you said before, similarities between Adelaide and up down the coast.
Yep.
Is that something that you feel really comfortable being a part of?
Yeah, definitely, mate. I try and get back to Torquay as much as I can, and a couple of years ago I went down, and my dad's got a team down there named after him, and sort of go down there and have a little chat to the kids and things like that, and I really enjoy going back there and helping out as much as I can, and it's very similar to Adelaide, Torquay, and probably just the surf is a little bit different, but look, they've been fantastic. The club's really coming along and producing some great players down there, and hopefully in the years to come we can get a few more players in the AFL.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on the surf, mate, because I'm Draft Star's resident surfer, even though no one believes that I'm capable of it because of the fact I'm 6'6", 86 kilos, very lanky. They don't think I have any coordination. But can you tell everyone that it is possible no matter what height you are? Because I'd just like to get that on the record.
It is possible. You just need a bigger board.
You just need a bigger board. Exactly right. I'm very glad you agree with that, mate. Now, if there was one thing above all else that you could say to young athletes, what would it be?
I guess it's probably the biggest thing is there's always going to be setbacks. You set out your goal, and along the way there's going to be hurdles, and I think you just got to keep going through, and no matter what, you'll eventually get there if your mind's set to it. You'll come across some things, and you sort of just got to push through them, and eventually, if you want to do it, then you'll get there. And hard work's the only way you're going to get through it. And so if you continue to work hard, then your goal will come.
Now, obviously, you've got a massive involvement with Draft Star. What was it that really sparked your interest and made you passionate about getting involved?
Yeah, I think it's just the work they do in helping kids trying to achieve their dream, and that's something that as a youngster we all went through, and we're trying to achieve what we set out to. As we were young, we wanted to play AFL, and for a group to come in Draft Star and really help these kids to achieve their dream is fantastic, and to be a part of that is something that I really cherish.
Now, can you give us an insight into were there any programs around when you were growing up, or was it just merely the local footy scene and then going into the Geelong Falcons?
Yeah, there was probably nothing like this. It was all I started out at Torquay and then went to the Geelong Falcons in the TAC Cup program, and then from there I played state footy and then pretty much went into the draft. So there was nothing like draft stars doing now, and I think it's a huge advantage for young kids to get involved and really help their footy and progress into hopefully AFL ranks.
Now, there's one thing that really sets draft star apart from the rest of these footy development programs, and that's the AFL 60 testing. So all the testing that you do at the draft combine. So a couple of the questions coming in were in reference to how did you actually perform when it came to the combine?
Well, probably wasn't really good. I think my longer distance stuff wasn't much chop. I think my beep test was 12 or 13 or something like that, which wasn't much. And I think probably, as I touched on before, my speed and agility was probably my best, but still probably not up there with some of the best. And I think it was just all pretty much the footy during the year that probably helped me. And
was there a particular idol for you growing up? Was there someone that you thought, he's just really the bee's knees, I guess, and wanted to be just like?
Yeah, I think I was a Carlton supporter when I was growing up, and Anthony Koutafidis was my favourite player, and I think I love watching him go about his business and picking up the footy with one hand and just running along with it. So he was the sort of player that I wanted to play like, obviously a bit different size and stuff, but he was one that I really loved watching and enjoyed and wanted to be like him, sort of thing.
And probably a question you probably get a lot: who's the toughest opponent?
Toughest opponent. I've had a few. I've had to play on Simon Black a couple of times, and he was definitely one of my hardest. And I think Cameron Ling I've had a couple of times play on me, and he was really hard to get away from, and Brett Kirk as well. So they're probably a couple of the hardest. But I think Simon Black's definitely probably one of the hardest you'll have to sit on, and just his awareness around stoppage and his smarts is incredible. So he's probably one of the best.
And give us an insight, the feeling, your first game. What was that like? What type of adrenaline rush do you really get out of that?
Yeah, you sort of just, it's all a blur now, really. I think we played a 4 o'clock game against Essendon, and I was sitting around. I think I got up about 8 o'clock, and I was sitting around all day just wanting to play, and just the whole build up was just nerve wracking. But as soon as we got out there, it just felt like another game of footy, and. But to me now, it's just all a blur. It just went so quick, and it's something that I'll cherish. But it was a great feeling. And then singing the song after the game in the circle, it was Treader's 200th game as well, and I was in there with him. It was just something I'll always remember, and it was just so surreal.
And what would you say? In terms of leadership, now that you've decided to stay on at Port Adelaide, which you can't imagine how many people were tweeting and saying that they were so glad that you chose to stay on. Do you think leadership is something that you really pride yourself on within the group that's currently there?
Yeah, definitely. I think coming into the club, I never saw myself as a leader, and I think I sort of grew into that position. And with Choco, he sort of helped me a lot, and then Matty Primus, and we got Jan Sterling there now, who was the coach of the women's basketball team, and she's really helped me a lot, and it's something I really enjoy. And myself as a leader, I really want to take this club to where it belongs, and that's at the top. So along with myself and a few other young guys, we're really excited about it, and it's something I really enjoy.
And for young kids out there are a lot of people who, I guess, they have the feeling that because they're not overly confident in terms of speaking in front of groups, that means they're not necessarily a leader, but there are other ways to go about it.
Yeah, definitely, and that was probably one thing that I hate talking in front of people, and I'm probably still not so good at it, and that's not the only thing about being a leader. We've got leaders at our club who do a lot of talking, and there's the leaders like myself and Hamish Hartlett and these sort of guys who do all our leading on the field and training, where we lead by example and sort of try and drag other guys along, and that's leadership as well. And so there's different types of leaders. It's not always just the guys the loudest and talking the most. So for those guys who are out there who aren't the loudest talking, you can always still be a leader and just lead by your actions and just show everyone else the way to go.
Now, obviously, over the off-season, the group's gone through a pretty tough time. What can you say about the strength of a team when do you all band around each other in those real difficult circumstances?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's something that it's just a shocking accident. something we wish never happened. But you know, the guys, you know, really came close together, and you know, the amount of support we had from around the group and from each other was just amazing. And you know, it just shows how you know, close football communities are, and you know, from other clubs as well, the amount of support we had, and you know, just the group, you know, atmosphere in a football club, and it's just amazing, and it's great to be a part of.
And moving forward from here, mate, you said you're going over to London for a bit of a scratch match, probably.
Yep.
You'd describe it, against the Western Bulldogs to really publicise the game overseas. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, it should be good fun. I'm not playing, but it'll be good to get over there and you know, a bit of an exhibition match and sort of promote the game over in London. And no, it'll be good fun. I think the Bulldogs are looking forward to it as well. And you know, we've got a bit of a training camp before that and cruise around London for a few days. So really excited about that, and hopefully we can get a few people over there.
And you touched on the fact that you might be checking into a couple of soccer games maybe in the EPL. In your coaches in the past, do you ever borrow stuff like you hear Alistair Clarkson say that he might look into something like the soccer, to look at the way they set up a zone or something? And I know he spent time at Port Adelaide. Yeah. Would you say it's something that they touch on at the professional coaching level?
Yeah, they do. They do a lot, and I know Choco did a hell of a lot. He watched soccer a lot and loved soccer, and it was pretty similar to you know, Alistair Clarkson. I think they were together at the time and sort of you know, worked on that press the soccer do, and you know, they looked at that. And Matty was a big on NFL, and I think he probably got a few things from there. And I'm sure Ken Hinkley has got a big interest in other sports as well, and they all just link in. I mean, in the end, it's all just a game, and they're all very similar. So yeah, there's other sports do bring in you know, big things in our game.
Well, Trav, thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure everyone would agree at home that there's an exciting time ahead for the Port Adelaide. Obviously a very young group, so yeah, we're pretty excited for you, mate, and we wish you all the best of luck for 2013.
Thanks for having me, mate. Cheers.